Do you have a dog that never seems to relax? Is it always on the go? When you and your family come into the room, does it go nuts? When people visit, does it go even more nuts? Have friends and family stop coming round because of the dog? Is it virtually impossible to put it on the lead? Does it constantly jump all over the furniture? Is it impossible to get it into the garden? Once it's in the garden, is it impossible to get it back in the house? Does the dog eventually go and lie down, but 10 to 15 minutes later it's up again going nuts? Well, in my opinion, your dog is suffering from the canine equivalent of attention addiction. The vast majority of dogs aren't born with this condition. So in my opinion, it's predominantly a learned behaviour. However, some dogs may be genetically predisposed to it. Now let's see how easily owners get themselves in this situation. When you bring your pup home, the majority of new owners believe that they have to make their dog feel loved and welcome. So displays of affection are limitless. The dog is constantly engaged with, picked up, kissed, cuddled, and overstimulated. Not only does the family do this, but everyone that visits the house does this as well. So in a matter of a few days, the dog learns that this is how it's supposed to interact with people. A learned behaviour. This constant overstimulation can be incredibly damaging for a young dog's future, as it never learns or is taught any form of impulse control. Within a couple of weeks, the novelty of the pup's arrival generally cools a little. The family starts to go back to its normal routine, which by definition will mean less time for the pup. This is just normal human behaviour. However, at this point, the pup recognises it's being given less attention, and because it's more active and more confident, will begin to demand the attention that it was given when it first arrived. Now you've got a young dog with attention addiction, a behaviour that's more than likely been created within the first few weeks of ownership. The bigger the dog gets, the more attention it will demand. You'll then start to resist this attention, and the more you resist, the more attention your dog will demand. Okay, so unfortunately now you've completed the circle. Overstimulation happens within the first week or so of ownership. Lack of impulse control possibly develops within the first 4 to 6 weeks of ownership. And attention addiction possibly takes hold from 6 weeks of ownership onwards, with potentially no end in sight because the dog has no impulse control. Now this behaviour can be resolved, but has to be resolved at home because this is where it's displayed. Dogs are environmentally driven, which means they learn to display certain behaviours in certain environments. So if you ring a training school, they may say, yeah, fine, bring the dog along, we'll sort that. And it's a distinct possibility that after a couple of sessions, the dog learns how to behave at the training school. But how you engage with your dog at the training school is not how you and your family engage with the dog at home. Attention addiction is not a training issue. It's a behavioural issue, and it's best dealt with at your home by a qualified canine behaviourist. If you recognise this behaviour in your dog, please get in touch, as it rarely goes away on its own.